380 as the equalized rate.
The equalized rate based on the higher number for trade, for retail from last year.
No, the reality is if I paid $350 for my car last year,
Yep.
I should pay $350 for my car this year, regardless of what's going on, because we're equalizing the rate.
That's
Right.
just a number for you all to
Now-
consider, a base
Right.
to look at.
I mean, but that we have to get the equalized before we talk raise or lower. Okay, let me come back to you, Mr. Seeley.
You have not. That's exactly right. You have not. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay.
We're going to come back to you. We'll come back to Reggie while he gets that.
I'm going to walk through the formula one time to make sure, at least I'm
Okay.
straight. We are going to clean trade
Yes, sir.
this year.
Yes, sir.
These numbers are based on
Clean trade. Yes, sir.
And clean trade equalized at 350, which is the rate that we billed last year. We billed 350 clean. I'm not even going to talk about that. We billed 350 last year was the actual rate.
Yes, sir.
So with the drop in the rate, with the drop to trade, if we made no change and we billed 350,
The figure's there.
we'd be at 9,954,000.
Right. And you see what the
And
revenue.
last year the value was 10,796,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in order for us to be approximately the same revenue to the county for no budget impact, the rate this year with clean trade would have to be $3.80. And that takes us within $5,000 of where we were last year at 350.
Exactly.
That's it.
And I guess, and I'll take the hit because I was the one probably the most concerned about what was the decrease. Was there a way to quantify our personal property
I wish there was.
decrease?
NADA will not give you any figures as far because they say there is no happy medium. What we were using was Weldon Cooper and what they do for state statistics, so it stayed apples to apples. And Weldon Cooper uses 82% for trade and 75% for loan. When this all first started, it was assumed that this economy and the used vehicles were not going to come up. They were not.
Well, and that was my concern at our last board meetings, that I looked at the value of the actual vehicles in the county. Were we actually...
Come in, we'll show you the values. We've got them.
My concern was we were going backwards and we were never going to catch up because of the economy that we're in and people holding on to what they have.
Yes, sir, and that's why we couldn't do anything else but use the 25%, but at the beginning of the whole process. We didn't want to come in and say, well, we told you 82 and it went to 75.
Right, and that was my concern, is that it had gone down even further.
No, sir. I think it was everybody's concern at the last year.
So let me ask you this, and I understand what Mr. Underwood is now saying. If we took one of your examples, and I don't know if you have them with you, the examples that you gave some time ago, like a 2010...
I don't have them with me tonight.
A 2006, Toyota Corolla worth $6,000. You had given us some comparisons on
Yes, sir. We can do that again. We can give you more.
But the other thing that and I've heard others talk about, is that the $30 decal fee is in the bill with
Oh, thank you.
the personal property.
I'm not discussing
No,
decals.
but is there any way
But that's
to-
not in here.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
I completely understand that.
Okay.
Is there any way to separate that on the bill so people can see?
It is separated, sir.
It is separated?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We separated it last year.
Well, that's what I was going to have her.
But the reality is, most people like me look at the total number
Yes, sir, they
and say,
did.
gee whiz, it went up $90 or whatever, and it really didn't go up $90.
Yes, sir, and if you had multiple cars, 3 cars, that was $90 extra on your first half bill. And looking at the bottom line, it did jolt
Right,
people.
right.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Black, and I'm going to go back to you. You ready, Mr. Underwood? Or are you good? Okay.
I guess I'm trying to get, trying to figure this all out as well. Okay, last year when we billed, we were still we went to 100% last year, right? We were at 50%, we were doing 50%, correct, of assessed value.
Yes,
and then
sir.
last year we said, I remember us being up here, we talked about going to 100%. I mean, and I think that might have been your recommendation, right, to go to 100%?
Well, for many reasons, the county needs to be at 100% for better budgeting.
And that was 100% of clean
Whatever.
retail.
Yes, sir. Once you go to 100%, it does not matter which level you use, it must be 100%.
And so then the people got their bills, and they saw, like, for example, I mean, I have a person that I teach who said, you want to buy this car for, it's a $12,000 car. He said it's
I
worth-
think the value shocked them more than the tax bill itself. They really asked, as you did, the board, to, except for Mr. Thomas, he wanted us to go to loan.
Which was the lowest value total?
Yes, sir.
Did you know that going to 100% NADA was going to do that? I mean, did we have any idea at the time that this all of a sudden now people's, I mean, because we
Yes,
went to
sir,
100% retail
We
not knowing.
have, historically, this county has only used retail. Trying to explain to people, if they saw their bill prior year, that was 50%. That value would be doubled if we go to 100%.
Okay, so when the June bills went out, okay, when the June bills went out last year, the bill was for 100% clean retail, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When the next billing is December, correct?
No, sir. Our next billing is June.
It's just once a year.
Twice, June and December.
Well, okay, last June when the bills went out for personal property, it was 100%, okay, correct? Clean
Yes.
retail. Then you have
Yes.
another bill in December, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when the December bills went out,
Has to be the same. You only set the rate
so the
once a
December
year.
bills were the exact same
Yes, sir,
amount?
minus the decals. Minus the decals.
Okay, because the decals were paid
First half.
in the first half.
Yes,
once a
sir.
year.
Once a
Okay.
year.
So now for the June bills that will be going out, you
Yes,
have
sir.
dropped to,
Clean
Trade-in.
trade.
okay. Now, as far as proration is concerned,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at this and I see 498,155 in revenue, correct, at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
And you said that was for January 1 through March 31st,
March 25th.
March 25th. And you're saying that's only for basically a quarter then?
Almost.
So can I
But
assume, I mean, this may
will
be,
be your largest.
can I
Remember
assume
that.
though that the next amount of money or the next revenue stream would be 75% of that? Because you're going with 3/4 of the year instead of the whole year when you're prorating?
Well,
Would that be a serious?
After we have the book done, we'll be billing those every 60 days.
So, all right. So when I go buy a new vehicle now, you're going to wait 60 days for the bills to go out?
No, the bills now will be, hopefully we can do as many at the same time of the book process. And then after the book is done and all the other work is being done, it won't be quite 60 days and the next one will go out. We have to cut it off somewhere.
When does the book come out?
As soon as I get everything in, 100% of the assessments done, and I get a rate. There's nothing I can do without a rate.
All you're giving us now is the total value. All you're giving us now is the total value of
To
all
this
the cars in
point.
Caroline.
To this point.
To this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then we're going to kind of guesstimate what the rest of it is. And yeah.
And probably before you get down to the bottom line of setting that rate, if you're going to extend your time this year, we can even give you a total edit.
Yeah, and that's something we were considering, and I think a couple of people mentioned it before, is if we had a little more
That would be
time,
nice,
better.
but our folks don't file until February 1.
Right.
And right now, we are still receiving business returns. It's quite a process.
Okay. Were you, Mr. Black?
Well, I had the next question I had is because, you know, people want us, and I'm just kind of, maybe this confuses me as well. The more that we enforce personal property, the less we would have to raise personal property, correct? The rate. And my concern is living in Lake Landor, we have a highly transient population in Lake
Yes, sir.
Landor. So if I register right now through DMV, I can go every 2 years. Our records are coming from DMV, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if I register my car in Spotsylvania today, and I move to Caroline, I move to Lake Landor, okay? Technically, you wouldn't, if I'm pulled over with a sheriff or anything like that, it would be 2 years technically, right, before the county would pick me up. Is that correct?
At the most.
At the but I could get basically 23 months out of the deal without having to pay Caroline County anything, correct?
No, sir, because you're on a Virginia roll. You're going to get challenged in Spotsylvania with a Caroline County address. We work very closely with the surrounding localities. And if you come into Caroline from Spotsylvania and want to continue paying Spotsylvania, more than likely it's going to come up that, wait a minute, this is a Caroline County address. There's a lot of discovery that's done on vehicles.
But the enforcement part, Jeff, is you have a car.
I think he's talking about the stops.
But no, if he registers his car for 2 years, which is the maximum we can do, 1 year, 2 years, you don't check to make sure, or you can't check to make sure my personal property is paid because DMV doesn't give you that until my registration's due again. And I think that's the 2-year time frame we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing a weekly download. We get the downloads weekly now. This is the only way we can do it. We have one deputy that is downloading all vehicle transactions weekly. And Spotsylvania prorates too. So something's going to cross. I think you're talking about the DMV stops on enforcement. The treasurer does that.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess my question is, and it's not just up to the sheriff's office, I guess my question is, I have a hard time believing when I walk around Lake Landor, I see a lot of cars without county stickers, and I know those people are living in Lake Landor. I mean, all you have to do is I'll invite you in and you can walk around Lake Landor and see there's a lot of people without county stickers.
That would be an
And I see a lot of people that are
enforcement
living in houses in Lake Landor that have out-of-state tags as well, and I know they've been there for a while. Whether they're military or not, I don't know, but what I'm saying is, before we go keep on raising the rates, everyone that's my concern is this, is everyone who lives in Caroline County paying the rate? Because I know one of the things, like when we got a new HOA manager or POA manager in Lake Landor, one of his top priorities was enforce the people that aren't paying before we keep on raising the rates on people who aren't.
Well, I don't have a database of other states. We have taxed vehicles and campers that have out-of-state tags on them. But I don't go door to door.
But, okay, but like for example, with Lake Landor, Lake Caroline, the HOAs, when someone moves into our community, they have to go through a process. We know they're there, okay? Are you working with the HOAs? I'm sure Lake Caroline does the same. I know Lake Landor does it. I'm sure any HOA in the county does it. Are we working with the records in the HOAs to do enforcement that way?
As much as they will make available.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Underwood.
All right, Ms. Carter, one more time. Last year, my car was worth $10,000, okay? I paid retail last year personal property tax, okay? We collected, let's just say $400. This year, my car, based on, now that we've changed the assessment, based on retail, based on clean trade, is only worth $9,000. Is it not our goal to try to continue to equalize back to that $400 that we collected the year before? Well, then help me. It is. That's why we're going to 380, because the value decreased. Or am I wrong again?
You want to take that?
Well, then tell me what the purpose of equalization is.
It's,
Because my value decreased from a year ago, you increased the rate, that means I'm paying the same money.
And you
It's-
bring up an excellent point.
it's going to equalize it if that's what you choose. That's
No,
not my position.
I understand that, but we need to let the we need to let the people understand and know that they are being charged a higher rate, the same rate, I mean.
That's up to you, sir. That's not my job.
And that's like, I think that's what
See, we
Mr.
sit
Cully
here,
just whispered.
see, now, okay, excuse me.
Mr. Cully just whispered that same thing in my ear. We're looking at, she gave us 227 million as the overall value of personal property in Caroline.
That's correct.
75%. I'm just going to accept that as a real number and say that's the real number. So your car, that was worth $10,000 last year, because it was retail,
Right.
is probably worth $4,000 now, because now we're talking clean trade.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to pay, instead of, let's make the number 5,000, make the math easy for me.
Right.
Instead of paying $400, you're going to pay $200 this year.
Right.
Mr. Taylor bought a brand new car last year. He's going to be the one that makes up that difference, because his car is worth $50,000 and he's going to pay me $2,000.
No, not
That's-
that much difference.
Well,
Because
that's,
my decrease in value is equalized by the higher rate.
well, I mean, we determine that final equalization. You're right. If I say we collected 10 million last year, we want to collect 10 million this year,
Right.
we equalize the rate.
Absolutely, that's all I want us to say.
and that's what
is
you're
let people know that we're trying to make sure that
We're-
we collect the same amount of revenue to run the county
From last year.
from last year's assessment.
Right.
That's all I want you to say.
But now you, and you're going to do that too, you will pay less. It all depends on your car, because
Yes, sir.
I got a Ford. My Ford goes down in value quicker than his Mercedes. Or not that
Yes,
he has
sir.
a Mercedes, but somebody's Mercedes. Whoever's.
Yes,
But-
sir.
but that's-
If you buy, the newer cars do make up the difference for the others.
And that's part of it. You know, the real example, I think we've got those. Your car was worth 20,000, now it's going to be worth 12, something like that.
That's the one thing we lack, are the values from retail to trade.
Trade.
And
Yeah.
if you could see the values and you could do 2 or 3 of those, we would be able to actually look at the numbers of what the values are
Yeah.
up and down.
But it's kind of what we just said. Your car was
It
worth
is what you
10,000
just
before.
said. It is what you just said.
It is? I'm
Yes,
so
sir.
glad to hear somebody confirm me. That
Yes,
makes me
sir.
feel so much better. Thank you. Yeah, because see, you can hear him not. No, I'm not. But that's the reality. Your car was worth 10 before, now it's going to be worth 4,000 or 5,000. You personally will pay maybe not 50% less tax, maybe 40% less tax. Yeah, I understand. But that's the reality. You're going to pay 40% less. Somebody who buys a brand new car is going to pay the difference to help us get to the equalization
That's just
rate.
like in the used cars. If you upgrade, you may right now have a 2005 and you buy a 2008. That's going to make a difference in there.
That I
It's
had
going to go
last year.
down, Mr. Underwood. It's going to go down.
That's what we said last year, and people said, oh, it didn't happen.
Actually, last year,
I'll wait to see.
Actually, last year, we thought we were only raising it 10%,
Yeah, ended up being,
20.
20.
thank you.
But then, that's why we're talking to Mrs. Carter now, and that's why we're going to extend an invitation to Mrs. Carter if we need her at our budget work sessions to make sure we got it right.
I just think we need to see examples of last year, because she did a pretty good set of examples, and use those and look at the
Sure.
350, same vehicles versus 380, and see what the difference in the
Sure.
amount being paid is. Because the proof is in the numbers.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, and part of what we'll get is, we're going to ask Mr. Cully to give us new revenue estimates based on the latest equalized number that we have. Because we're at 430, whatever the number was, 430?
Right. Now, we have to,
Okay. And we're looking at 380.
we will do this as much as you need. Just remember, that's pulling everybody out of the system to run all these reports. But we do not mind.
Well, we do appreciate the hard work you and your staff have done.
They're
but this is-
terrific.
And I know some of them personally. Actually, I was in the office today watching a couple of them.
Were they
But-
behaving? They were working, I know that.
They were working hard.
You can hear a pin drop in there, they're working.
They were working very hard. No, and I just kind of tease and joke, but they've all done a great job, and we do appreciate that. What we have to wrestle with is to make sure we first collect the amount of revenue we expect. Second, we can run the county with that revenue we collect. And you know, we don't want to take the easy route out and say, okay, we can make the tax rate $5, we know we'll get enough money. We're trying to look at just what we need to do.
Yes, sir.
I made this analogy at my district meeting last week. You know, I would like the big Mercedes for the county, but I can't afford the big Mercedes, so I have to get the Ford. And we're going to run the county with the Ford until we get the money to get the big Mercedes, if we ever do. So we just want to have enough. That's why we wanted to talk to you, and probably will want to talk to you again, just to make sure
That's absolutely
that
fine.
we have the revenue number straight.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask one more? Ms. Carter, I'm still stuck on this enforcement thing, because I think there's a whole lot of money out there. I'm sorry, I think there's a whole lot of money. I mean, I'm just living in Lake Landor. I
The
think there's a
sheriff
whole lot
just
of money.
walked in, which is a good thing.
There's your enforcement.
Is there a way, and I'm not talking about the sheriff's department having to go around to every property, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, is there a way to work with the HOAs? Because I think Lake
Yes, sir,
Landor
we
is-
do work with them. We
Okay.
do work with them, but I can only work with the information they make available to me. If they're registering out-of-state cars and they pass that on to us and they do have situs in the county, we're going to tax it. But I can only work with what they make available.
Okay, thank you.
You said, let me ask a question on that, Mr. Chairman. If they own property in one of the subdivisions, and they get a decal for that subdivision saying they are living in there, I'm looking for what is the level of detail you need.
Well, first of all, what is their primary residence? We have a lot of folks in the lakes that have second homes. We have to honor that.
I understand that.
And they may get a decal for their vehicle and keep a car here. Just like we have many campers that remain in the county, however, they don't live here. They are taxed.
So I guess I'm looking for the defining, what is the defining piece that says they're a resident?
Primarily, their primary residence and where they file their taxes. Where do they claim? We are the Department of Taxation.
So if
We can look them up and see where
Okay,
they
so
pay their taxes.
that's what I was, so
Yes, sir.
if you took an address in Lake Caroline, and let's say they had Idaho plates on their car, you can, if you knew the address and the name, you can check the tax records to see if they filed taxes in Virginia?
And
rather
in
than
that
Idaho?
case, you're getting extremely detailed. I'm not getting that information. I'm not getting out-of-state vehicles from the lakes. It's very rare that I get one that is registered from out of state.
So what do you get from, I guess that's my question, because I'm trying to understand.
Well, Lake Landor, of course, this year sent us a listing, which was fun. But we're not finding many detailed out-of-state tags. If there is someone living here, they could be renting They could be at Fort A.P. Hill. They never have situs here. We have a lot of military that live in the lakes. They do not have situs here. They go by their home of record.
Okay.
You cannot touch that vehicle.
Okay, I understand.
All right, I think we got the first part of the answer we needed on where equalization is, and I appreciate your hard
You're
work,
welcome.
and I appreciate your definitions.
Right, and we'll stay in touch with Mr. Cully.
We will more than likely ask to see you one more time
That's
during the budget
fine.
work session. Thank you
That's
very
fine.
much, Mr. Carter.
It's always a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
All right, appointments, Rappahannock Emergency Medical Services. Did we have an appointment for that? Nobody? Okay. We'll carry that appointment over. Agenda item number 3, consent. Anybody want to pull anything from consent? Motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Underwood. Consent agenda items A through F to be approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. And we have 8 minutes till our public comment. Considering we had an hour meeting with the school board, we're going to take a break for 15 Earth minutes. So 7:37. We'll be back and we'll proceed with public comments, then a presentation from Germana, and then we'll start our public hearings. So we'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you. We'll reconvene the March 26th meeting of the Caroline County Board of Supervisors. I do apologize for the Earth minutes. We were supposed to take 15, we took 25. We got a couple of things done in between. So at this point in time, we're going to do public comment. Before we do public comment, we're going to have the presentation from Germana Community College. According to Bruce, it's going to be no longer than 5 minutes.
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us this evening. My name is Bruce Davis. I work in the President's Office at Germana Community College. And with me tonight is Gene Wesley, Vice President of Germana Community College, and L.J. Moyer, a member of the Educational Foundation Board of Governors. What I'd like to review very briefly, start off with some broad brushstrokes. The Virginia Community College system in Richmond has set up a program called Achieve 2015, which all of you should have a card at your desks that gives a basic outline of what the program is. And it's a 6-year program with some pretty broad or some pretty large goals. One of the primary goals is to increase access for individuals in rural communities where there's a number of barriers to higher education. Another goal is to triple the number of students graduating or transferring from community colleges to a total of 91,000. Another goal is to keep everything very affordable and also to continue to expand the training of workforce endeavors with business and industry throughout the state. And so that being said, Germana Community College services a multi-county area within Planning District 16 plus some counties to the west of that. Caroline County is very, very important to us. And let me just skip over to really the meat of the presentation. As Caroline County grows, Germana wants to grow with it. We want to be at the forefront of that growth. As a state institution, supported in part by the communities that it serves, Germana needs to build a track record before state and Virginia Community College system monies can become available to build campuses. And our goal is to one day have a full-blown campus in Caroline County. But we can't do that right off the bat. We can't just open a 40-acre campus and put buildings on it. We have to start in a very, very small way. We have to build a record of success. We have to build a track record. So we need to start with a very small center, probably a 2-classroom center, and operate out of that for 5 years or so and build a record of success. And currently, there's a YMCA that's under construction in Caroline that presents a significant opportunity for Germanna. When we open a center, we like to be in areas of high traffic. We like to be near interstates. We like to have parking. We need to take advantage of where traffic is. And that helps create interest in college for people who may have barriers. People who say, well, I really can't go to college, but yet they're going to the Y, they see a campus there and they say, oh, well, I can maybe go there. That's not so difficult. So it's a real opportunity for us. Now that being said, we're here to serve the county. We will go wherever you direct us to go. The opportunity right now with the Y presents itself as a more cost-effective way for us to get down to business and open a center sooner rather than later. And the reason I say that is because the Y is currently under construction. If you were to say no to the Y, we will continue to look for a place to open and hang a shingle. But that will be far more cost prohibitive than if we do something with the Y. I've kind of gotten off track with my presentation, but that's because I want to keep it under 5 minutes. I do want to introduce Dr. Wesley, who can expand a little bit on what a two-classroom center can do for you, the county, and its residents.
Two classrooms in Caroline County can be the start of something big for Caroline County, its citizens' economic development and educational attainment. We're about affordability and access. So our hope is that with a location, even a two-classroom location in Caroline County, that we would not only be able to be a very visible presence, that we would attract people that may not be planning on going to college, that may not have thought they could, the working poor that may not can drive to where they need to go to college, and for people that can leave work to come, and it would be right there in the evening, or if they could in the day. We would be able to offer workforce courses there for people that were lifelong learners that perhaps had lost a job, that needed retraining, may have already had a degree, that we could offer continuing education classes and certifications there, upgrade their skills so they could get a better job. We also would be able to offer credit courses there that people could start their degree programs either in a career and technical sense or in their general study sense that would go on to a four-year college. And the affordability factor there is incredible as far as a bargain for parents and anyone being able to go to school, because they would be able to save so much money to be able to get their credit degree classes there, to be able to go on to later to a much more expensive option. We also hope in the future to be able to offer distance learning classes there that would not only be able to connect with any class that we had in any location in our 7 counties and city that we serve, but perhaps to other locations and other universities as well that would be right there in one of those classrooms. We also at Germanna offer courses in to industry and business, training courses. We do in-house professional development for them. We do contract training. We go into a company and assess their needs and do training for that company. We've been doing it for years, and that would give us a central, strong location that businesses in Caroline County could come get their training as well. And that would give you just a little bit of an idea of what 2 classrooms in this area could do for Caroline County for a partnership with Germanna.
Community is our middle name, and I'm sure you guys have all had the opportunity to read in the press about how community colleges have really come into their own nationally, and it's certainly true here in Virginia. And The big advantage to that, with community being in the middle name, is that the students that attend community colleges stay in the place where they live. They don't graduate and move on to California or someplace. They stay here, they earn more money, they're better taxpayers, and they stay out of trouble. So with that, let me introduce from our Educational Foundation, L.J. Moyer, one of your taxpayers.
Thank you, Bruce. Good evening. I have had the great privilege to sit on the foundation board for 7 years now, and I can tell you that it has been a great pleasure dealing with those folks, very professional people. They have great heart, great compassion for their community. We raise the funds for the scholarships, and at our meetings, at our scholarship meetings, it will tear your heart out to hear their stories of how we have helped these kids that, that thought they were lost or couldn't help themselves. I believe in what we do, and I can see that this is I believe I can speak for the board by saying that we are willing and we are able to help you to get the money, to raise the money, to help you raise the money for the YMCA, and it would be a great alliance for you and Germanna. And I'm going to switch gears here and now speak to you as a longtime resident, a little over 31 years in Caroline. I'm not from Caroline, but my heart is here in Caroline, believe me. I am a businesswoman here, and I believe in seize the moment. And if this isn't seize the moment, I don't know what is. So I appreciate your time, and I hope that we can partner up, and I promise you we can help you. Thank you very much.
If the board has any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them for you. If not, we'll get out of your way.
All right, well, we appreciate you coming. During your presentation, you mentioned that you wanted to co-locate at the Y or something of that nature?
Correct.
So you would like to build onto the Y?
Well, yes. It's our understanding that there's money allocated for the construction of the Y, and we're not asking that you increase that. We're asking that perhaps part of that money be allocated to essentially change the proposed design, or what's actually under construction, so that what would be built, if you so choose, would be within the same architectural parameters as the Y building itself, instead of us waiting and either building something there later, which would cost considerably more money, or if you decide not to locate there, then we would have to find another location within the county somewhere, which more than likely would be more expensive. So that's the issue. We will do whatever you guys choose. We're here to serve you.
Okay. Before I turn it over to questions, let me make one thing clear. We would love to have Germanna part of our community, because communities are our name too.
Right.
But we thought, or at least it was my impression, that your fundraising efforts from Germanna would pay for any addition. And my opinion would be, if that's what you're going to do, hip hip hooray, I'm all for that.
We have provided a letter which states that we would, if you were to allocate, say, $250,000 to build the 2 classrooms at the Y out of the $5 million or whatever the number is, the line of credit, we would raise, our foundation would raise that $250,000 to repay you. In other words, it's like a front or an advance, just to get the project moving.
Okay. All right. Mr. Black, you have any questions? This is really, I'm doing questions because we wouldn't normally do questions during public comment, but they were a presentation that, because of time schedule, got put to here. So we'll ask you a set of questions, and then that'll be it.
I don't have any at this time.
Mr. Seeley?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware that we have an additional $250,000. I mean, I don't know what the YMCA construction is, and I don't know how much we've spent, I don't know how much is left over, so I can't even speak to that at this point.
Mr. Underwood?
Nothing.
Mr. Akers?
Mr. Chairman, in addressing Mr. Seeley's point, is the fact that it is my understanding that the contract came in, and I think that's something we can ask the Y as to what the contract came in at, but it was somewhere around $4.6, $4.7 million. There's been no major change orders. I think there have been two small change orders, one about $15,000, another about $10,000 change orders. But that's been the extent of it. I think, Bruce, if I'm correct, that you spoke with the Rappahannock earlier CEO.
Correct.
And he indicated to you that there was probably about $250,000 left over.
That's correct.
And that's where I've got my information from, is the fact that he feels comfortable that that amount of money is left over beyond the cost of the YMCA. And that's the money you're asking that we keep the project moving, allow you to add on to the project so it looks like it is part of the existing building or the initial building, and then you will raise the funds in order to repay that, plus pay an additional cost that would be to add on to that building.
Correct.
Mr. Taylor?
Do you have a presence in Caroline at this time?
We have a very successful early college program with your high school. In fact, it's a model for much of the state. It's a fabulously successful program. And roughly 5% of our student population at our various campuses, primarily Fredericksburg, are Caroline citizens.
And when would you be ready to start your program as soon as the Y were completed? Should we be able to do this?
Yes, we would work to begin with workforce training programs. Community colleges have two components. There's the academic side and the workforce development side, which is training of companies and business and industry. And we would certainly try to develop some programs on that side, as well as begin some academic programs, which is what Vice President Wesley was talking about with distance learning and things like that.
Okay, and I guess my last question, I guess, is probably to, I don't know, the chairman, but this addition that we're talking about, this building still belongs to the county. Is that right? I see you shaking your head no? Okay, but the initial, after the building is built and the YMCA moves in, my understanding is that the building will then belong to the county.
Not directly. The county has an option to purchase it. I think it's after 3 years. I'd have to go back and look at the contract. But the county does not own it and won't for a few years.
Okay.
What does the buyback cost?
It's a formula that relates to the value of the property with a credit to the county for the amount of money that the county donated for the building of the property, of the improvements to the property. And I don't know, so I can't give you an exact cost. Probably nothing. Probably nothing. The formula was calculated because we had to have a cost in it, and it was done fairly carefully to make sure that there wouldn't actually be any out-of-pocket expense to the county if it chose to exercise the option to purchase the property back after the holding period.
And I guess that was my point. It is going to belong to the county.
Ultimately,
right.
If that's what the board decides. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have right now.
Okay. Excuse me. We have a now we do appreciate it, and I stand by my comments originally. We'd love to have Germanna come into the county. We'd love to have Germanna come permanently and build a 40-acre facility somewhere, which would be wonderful. We just need to take the first step.
Right.
So let us do one thing. Is we've got a few people in attendance who are going to talk about our tax rate or probably rezoning. I'm guessing they're here to talk about the tax rate and not the rezoning. So I'd like to hear that comment. We have a work session on Thursday. I think we'll